Welcome to Reunite with Self Podcast. I'm your host, Ruken. Here, we will be discovering and unraveling what is truly holding you back. We will put the puzzle together and give you clarity on how and what you can do to create massive shift in your life so you start creating the life you always envisioned for yourself. There is no more waiting. Whether it is liberating from dysfunctional family patterns or parenting tools and tips that actually make the difference, we will be diving into the truth and core of things that are simple and which yet no one talks about. I will be sharing with you all the things that would have changed my life massively if I heard any one of these episodes. A new world is awakening, and true bliss, harmony, and peace is possible on this earth. And my mission is to bring you closer to that, one step at a time. In this safe space, I will hold your hand and give you courage and certainty that you can shift anything and everything in your life. It is time we break the pattern. Whether you want to be the parent you never had or make a shift in your life so you don't play small any longer, you will find the support and guidance in this space. My intention is for you to find answers within yourself while you listen to this podcast, so you feel the bliss of reuniting with your true essence, with self, with so much love and compassion and courage. From my heart to yours, let's keep it rockin'. My gorgeous listener, welcome to another episode on Reunite with Self. Thank you for being here. Maybe you have listened to the episode right before this, or maybe you just clicked on this. Welcome. So we're going to talk about 3 steps to self-actualize, and we're going to talk about step 2 today. Previous episode was on step 1. And so we're going to dive deep into the second step that I believe to be the number 2 step in your self-actualization journey. Of course, this is not about like getting to a point and just stopping there. This is starting to be in that journey, starting to fully use your fullest potential in its truest expression, choosing your life, knowing that you are the creator of your life. You're always the creator of your life, but now you're consciously making choices and you know that you are choosing your life. And maybe most importantly, you are fully using the energy within you, like your potential, that infinite source, that life energy, that vitality within you. Because until you start showing up for your life fully, chances are you're most probably feeling very frustrated, because that was my experience for decades. And this all happened to me, like these 3 steps right after one another happened exactly 2 years ago. Actually, it's going to be like almost 2 years now, which is very, it's just beautiful for me, because like never underestimate what can happen in 1 year and in 2 years, in 5 years, and in a decade. Never underestimate this. And my journey began with number 1, step 1. If you haven't heard the previous episode, spoiler alert, it's about creating clarity. So the first, the most crucial, the non-negotiable, the must step is to create clarity. And when I say create clarity, if you just started listening to this podcast, I'm not just like talking about what you want for your life, not that kind of clarity, creating clarity for your vision or your dreams or what you want to do or, how you want to do it. It's not about this. This becomes as a result. This is a result, like what you want to do with your life, what your vision is just, it comes out of you as you are in the journey of self-actualization. So you don't need to know every step of the way to start the journey of self-actualization. But in order, like what clarity I'm talking about here, just to clarify, you need to create clarity on what actually truly happened in your family dynamics. For sure. You can go back to your, adult relationships, what happened there, your job, your work, your relationships, your friendships. Like, you can go back to all of that, and you should, but you definitely need to go back to what happened in your family and what has been happening and what you have been enabling and accommodating, what the family dynamics are. If there is any narcissistic abuse, if there is any narcissistic neglect, which is also abuse, any tendencies of narcissism in family, you have to create the clarity of what is actually happening in your family dynamics right now as well. Like, this is a non-negotiable. If you want to start creating your incredible life, you have to be clear on what is happening in your family relationships. And when I say family, the family you come from, you were raised in. Why is this important? Because you will see what's truly stopping you in your life. Like, this is the base of it. And you can go back and listen to all the other episodes that we've done before. I would highly, highly suggest you to listen to the previous episodes of what I'm talking about in this, like, family dynamics and dysfunctionality and unhealthy relationships and all the things that is related to narcissistic tendencies, narcissistic behavior in parents, in siblings, in family, and in the larger circle as well. But mainly, first of all, it always begins in the family. So I would definitely suggest you to go back and listen to the other episodes if you are just starting to listen to this podcast. And so the first step is to create clarity. And only after creating this clarity, the second step comes. Like, only after this first step, the second step really makes sense and is sustainable, and you can be on your path without getting distracted. And, I shared with you on the previous episode that you have to follow these steps in this order in order for it to work. So the second step is not going to make any sense if I haven't had the courage or the honesty to create clarity about, like, what's happening in my life. Like, what is really happening? Like, what is someone really doing in those moments? What's happening? And what's going to continue happening if I just let it be like that, with air quotes, in the name of love. So if you are a highly sensitive and compassionate, empathic individual, this is going to resonate with you so much. And my intention is always to reach to the highly sensitive, compassionate individuals, empathic individuals. So the second step, my gorgeous friend, is making decisions. So after you create the clarity of what is happening in this picture, like, what is someone's actions creating in my life? Like, what is truly happening? And then the second one, making decisions, will be very powerful, because not only you're going to make decisions about what you will do with your life, like choices and decisions about your life, but you will also make decisions about what you are going to do with these relationships on the journey of creating that life for yourself. Like, what you will do, what you won't do anymore. That is going to be, this is so huge. I remember vividly when I was making these decisions. And I always say, as Tony Robbins says, change happens in a moment, like change happens in a second, like in a moment. You make a change because you make decisions. Change doesn't take time. It might take time, like your whole life, maybe, or decades, or years, or minutes, or hours, whatever, for you to be maybe, make a decision because of the pain, because the pain is so high, or your motivation might be pleasure as well, which is fantastic. But if we are talking about, most probably, if we're talking about dysfunctional family patterns or narcissistic behavior in any parents, both parents, in siblings, whoever raised you, whoever is around you in that family circle, relatives, all of that. If we are talking about this, most probably your decision making will be because of the how high the pain is. And it's like you are fed up, and then you make the decision to not continue, enable, accommodate, and dismiss your emotions and all of that. So it's so vivid for me, the moments that I made the decisions. They were very powerful. The moment that I created clarity for myself was like in a moment, like I will always have that moment with me. And the moment I created, like I'll just talk about my own experience. When I created clarity for myself in a very like highly challenging moment for myself, and it had a lead up to it as well. It was a very challenging time in my life, and that was particularly a very symbolic, a very challenging moment for me. And with someone's help as well, but that person did not tell me what was happening. I figured it out in a moment of, maybe that was coming from pleasure, by the way, that I saw a different reaction. I saw a different opinion of that probability. I'm not giving much away, but I think I will in time for sure. But I want to keep it private for now. So in a moment, I created that clarity. And in that moment, when I created the clarity to get out of the funk, I made a decision. Like I remember I made a decision in that moment. And like I always say, I kept it to myself. I didn't share it because it was just the beginning of a journey for me, which took a lot of courage. And I made a decision in that moment. And then what happens is, when you create the clarity, you might make decisions in that moment and it will last a lifetime. You never go back. You might stumble, you might fall, but you never go back. It's like, it's never the way it was. It's as if you see colors for the first time. Like life can never be the same if you have seen colors. If life was white and black and white before, it's never going to be the same again. Like none of the challenging moments will be the same again. And if you are truly honest with yourself and you are doing things not from ego, not from anger, not from fear, but truly with your spirit, with your soul, with your like higher self, like aligned with your heart, then I believe God, universe, whatever you believe in, then there is grace. Like it helps you too. He or she helps you. There is support. You are held, you are embraced, things start changing, but only after you make a decision in that uncertainty and you create certainty for yourself. And creating certainty, by the way, was like one of the foundations in this journey for me. What was taken away from me was my certainty that I had innately in me. Like it was a natural thing for me, but that was always stolen from me. And that was one of the biggest sabotage that I was having. Well, like one of the biggest things that were like keeping me confused and
out of alignment and in a fog and all the things that you would not want for your life. Like all the things a highly sensitive soul would not want for their life, who has a vision for their life and who wants to live a fulfilled life. So I made a decision. I don't know what I was talking about, but I think I was talking about this journey of my own experience. I created clarity for me where it was very challenging, uncertain, all the things, like things outside of me was uncertain, but I created that certainty. Like I found, and I, not that I hold on to it, it was like present with me. One of like the decisions you might like making decisions, it might be, the healthy boundaries, not exposing yourself to BS anymore, which would really support you to be in that certainty, So I made a decision. I remember the moment that I created clarity for myself, it was like, boom, like I made the decision. But then over time, but not long, I'm talking about like weeks and then a couple of months. Over this time, I started making decisions. And this led me to truly change my life 180 degrees. I can't say 180 degrees, but like completely change my life. After creating the clarity, things started being more clear to me. So I wasn't confused, and I was clear about where the confusion was coming from. So I started making decisions. What was so powerful, I remember so vividly again, I made some decisions, and I remember so vividly, like it was November 2021 that I had the clarity and I made a big decision that moment. And then time goes on, December, things start coming to me, like it's more clear to me. I'm making new decisions, but I'm just following my heart, soul's calling. I make some decisions and I go after them, but I am looking for, what the universe is confirming to me, that it's the one, that it's the path that will make me happy. Let's say I am looking for a job opportunity, a work opportunity, a business opportunity, and I'm thinking about, I would live in this place and I would do this thing, but it's not happening. Like there is a hold up. It doesn't feel icky or anything, but it's just something that I know I'm doing with my mind, because I'm so close to the other fantastic opportunities, but it just clears in time. It's like when the storm ends, the water starts clearing in time, and then you start seeing the other opportunities, and most importantly, you start seeing what your heart truly desires, and maybe you've been postponing it because you think you're gonna deserve it sometime along the journey. And 2022 New Year's Eve was very powerful for me. It was very, very powerful. And I was in a place in Turkey that I was really activated by in a very good way. I know it was like a lucky New Year's Eve for me. It didn't seem that way. I was like recovering from so many things, but it was, I know that it was very special. And I can do like different episodes on these specific experiences that really truly changed my life. And then time goes on, and I remember January, February, and then February comes, and towards end of February and March, I have my birthday, and my birthday gift to myself now, like starting that year, it was going for Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within. Maybe you know it, maybe you don't, but it's like an online training, very, very, very powerful. And it is intended for you to, change your life and unleash the power within and make choices and create the change in your life. And so I remember I made decisions right before that Unleash the Power Within March. It was going to be my first Unleash the Power Within. It was going to be like my really first thing that I was like starting, doing these things, these big trainings. And I remember so vividly that during Unleash the Power Within, really, my power was unleashed. It was really crazy. I found a space that I could do it by myself, where I could just unleash and shout and scream. And I was screaming from my stomach. It was so powerful. And maybe I'll do a different episode just on this experience, because it was so special, but it was really like rising from my ashes moments. And I remember making these decisions and like locking it. I was very determined. I was so clear on what the F happened during my whole life with every single person that had narcissistic tendency, especially in my family. Like all these people, like all these men, women, older than me, younger than me, like all these people, I'm not going to go deeper into this, but maybe I'll do another episode on this. But I remember making these decisions and it was like done. Like it was life-changing for me. And it was like, of course, divine timing, because I was open to it, because I already created the clarity. I didn't wake up to this one big thing during the training. I already created that clarity for myself. And the more I looked into it, the more I was figuring out the nuances, and I was figuring out how detailed it was of what really happened, what it caused me. Tony Robbins does a technique called Dickens method. I think I talked about this maybe on this podcast or before, but it's a method that he uses. Let's say if you go on with the same dysfunctional patterns with these people, whatever your situation is, but if you, let's say, don't start creating that incredible life and not unleash that power within, what happens in 2 years, if you continue like that in 5 years, in 10 years, and he puts you in this, I don't know, it's like let's say it's a protocol and sort of like a meditation as well, but it's a technique he does that is very, very powerful, because he does it from your motivation is from the pain. So because of that pain, you're like, I'm done. It's very powerful. And I remember that because I created that clarity for myself, it wasn't like an awakening moment. It was just like the way Tony Robbins does everything is that it's very intense, and it's more intense than you can ever experience, ever guess or imagine. And every time I do something with him, because of my experiences before, I'm like, okay, I'm prepared now, but I'm never prepared. It's always more than I expect. It's very intense, and he does it on purpose. You don't have time to do anything. It's because it's so powerful, because he does it through your nervous system. So it's instilled in your nervous system. Once it's instilled, once your body starts recognizing this new pattern, this new healthy pattern, and when a pattern in which you can identify what is healthy, what's not unhealthy, what's going to work, what's not going to work for your fulfillment, then it becomes easier as a practice in your day-to-day life and to apply it. It's not just like an intellectual thing where you just listen and learn, but he makes you work really hard so that it's instilled in your nervous system, because it's always about your nervous system. Trauma is about nervous system. Trauma doesn't happen. It's not something that happens to you. It's what happens in you when trauma happens. That's trauma. Like, it's not something, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it again, but Gabor Mate says this, it's not what happens to you, but it is what happens inside of you. And I also heard and resonate with this so much, trauma is about the nervous system, like what happens in your nervous system with whatever happened. So it's not like something just mental, or it's like very physical. It happens in your nervous system. So, yeah. So my experience with this was the biggest decisions. Like, I'm talking about the main decisions. Of course, you're along the journey, you're going to continue making so many different decisions. Like, I don't know, such as like me doing this podcast. I didn't know that I was going to create a podcast. I would never know at that time. But once you start your journey, then things start becoming more clear. They come to you. You have realizations. You have more awakenings and all of that stuff. But for you to self-actualize, you need to go through these 3 steps. And the third one we're going to talk about next week. And I call this 3.3 steps, that I'm going to explain you why on the next episode. But I wanted to clarify on today's episode that creating clarity and making decisions come hand in hand. And you just making a decision, I'm that I'm not talking about just like making a decision that, you're going to start this next Monday or whatever. It's like, it's huge. It's very bodily, mental, spiritual, emotional decision. And for you to make that kind of decision, to really create change, you need to have 100% clarity on what the F happened. I'm cursing just to give it more effect, because let's not minimize anything anymore. Like, we are done with minimizing. For individuals who are compassionate, empathic, highly sensitive, these individuals need to understand what truly happened so they can start doing things very differently. Because all the people that I know that live a fulfilling life, they changed many things in their lives. They changed many things in their lives because they had to. It was a must. It was a must in that journey for them to start self-actualize. So I'll leave you with this today. So to go back through it again, the first one is creating clarity. The first step for you to start to self-actualize is creating clarity on what the F happened. And then you can only know what you want to create with your life as well. And then the second step is making decisions. And this can look like what you're going to enable and not enable, no matter what. How you're going to see if there is any narcissism in here or if it's true love. What a healthy boundary can look like. What is like how you can be the guardian of your mind. What you expose yourself and what you don't expose yourself. What you say yes to, what you say no to. And that is like, you are certain about it now. No matter like how you feel, how much you feel guilt or whatever, you are certain that this is the right path. This is the path for you. This is this is love. And you start seeing where there is lack of love. It becomes very clear for you after that moment. So these are the 2 steps that are musts, in my opinion, in my life experience, for you to start self-actualization. And we're going to talk about the 3rd step next week. I love you so much, and I'll see you next week.
My gorgeous listener, if you had any takeaways from this episode or from this podcast in general, I would love to know. Please share this episode with a few loved ones right now. You never know how they can benefit from something so small. And please take a screenshot of this episode and share on IG, tagging me at Khevella. That is Khewella. Khevella. That is my goddess wear brand, my Instagram page. I would love to know what your takeaway was, or something you found inspirational, or a confirmation you believe in as well. That would make my day. And you can always DM me if you have a topic or a certain question in mind that you want me to talk about. And give me a 5-star rating if you feel like it. That would help this podcast immensely to get the word out. I love you. See you on the next one. I want to see you shine your brightest.